I'm about to be a party pooper. I can see the comment section now. Madeline, you're such a party pooper. You must be so fun at parties, yada, yada, yada. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being called a party pooper, especially when it comes to advocating for and protecting our public lands, specifically our national parks. Here is my very apparently unpopular opinion. I do not like the unhinged, fake parody TikTok accounts that have really gained traction over the last several days and weeks. I first saw these TikTok accounts pop up around, I don't know, maybe January, when a bunch of the accounts were created and they were like feuding. So all these fake national park accounts were like having beef with each other and all this stuff. And even back then, I had a little red flag going off in my brain saying, I don't like this. This seems not quite right to me. And I think the reason why it didn't sit right with me back then, and it really doesn't sit right with me now, can all be summarized by one particular thing. I view these fake parody accounts as something that is dangerous and actually damaging to the overall perception of our national parks as a whole because people think that they are real accounts. In the off chance that you have no idea what I'm talking about and you're like, what are these unhinged fake TikTok accounts? There are a bunch of national park TikTok accounts that have been created that are not affiliated with the official National Park Service at all, that are posting like thirst traps. So, in particular, like let's use the Yellowstone National Park fake account for this example. They are taking little clips from an OnlyFans creator and using that to tease in other footage from the national park to basically just advertise the park, I guess. So, there's like a bunch of these thirst traps. A lot of the other national park parody accounts that have been created are using a similar formula where they're using super sexually explicit thirst traps to like tease up the video or kind of like give you a taste before getting into the actual content. A lot of them are also just making like super sexually explicit jokes, like about how, Yellowstone has the best waterfalls, therefore they're the woodest. It's like very frat boy humor. So it's like this weird thing of like appealing to women with these like thirst traps from these OnlyFan creators, and then also appealing to men through these like really dumb sex jokes. I don't know. It's not my cup of tea, but a lot of people are obsessed with them. A lot of people are like falling over themselves obsessed with these accounts, and it's causing a lot of issues. So let's talk about it. Now, I have to start off by just saying any TikTok account that is claiming to be a national park is not affiliated with the national park system. Again, if there is a TikTok account for a national park, it is run by somebody completely unaffiliated with the national park system. These are not affiliated with the official parks. They are not managed by the National Park Service. They are not run by rogue employees or interns. They are run by random people unaffiliated with the parks. I want to be so clear. So if you see any TikTok account that's claiming to be a national park, it is not actually a national park. Unfortunately, media literacy is at an all-time low right now, and people do not know this and or do not realize this. So please help spread the word about how these are not real accounts. The biggest issue I have with these fake parody national park TikTok accounts is that people lack the media literacy to understand that these are not affiliated with the national parks, with the official agencies. And therefore, they see these silly, unhinged videos being posted nonstop by all of these different accounts, and it further contributes to the false narrative that our national parks are wasting resources. That is my number one critique of this issue, is that people believe these are real accounts, and it's furthering this false narrative that is actually harming our national parks, and it has to stop. The reason why this is so important for us to talk about right now is that our national parks and our public lands face a greater threat right now, today in 2025, than they ever have before. The way in which our federal government is targeting these public service sectors, specifically the protections around our public lands, around endangered species, around logging and timber production, and just overall access to public lands is deeply, deeply concerning. So when we think about advocating for and spreading more awareness around these issues, we don't need more visitation to our national parks. We've had record-breaking visitation numbers year over year. That is not an issue. What we need to instead do is advocate and educate around the very real threats that our parks and our public lands and our wildlife are facing, while also helping people understand how to recreate more ethically and responsibly despite resource reductions, despite less staff at the national parks and less resources available to them. So maybe these unhinged TikTok accounts are getting more people out to visit the national parks or raising awareness that our parks exist. That's not the issue that we're facing. That is not a problem that we need to solve right now. It's not a problem at all. We've had record visitation. The problem is that people don't know what's going on and they don't know how to help. So let's get into it. In this video, I want to talk about why I think they're damaging, like why I think that they are not good, despite some of the claims from people that I've seen online that they are helping raise awareness, yada, yada. I'm going to kind of debunk some of that and show you exact examples. And then I also want to give advice for the people behind the accounts, because if there's anything I've learned about social media is that once someone starts getting attention for doing something, like these accounts are getting attention for these silly, unhinged videos and stuff, it's really hard to get people to stop their behavior. So instead of saying just, hey, please cut it out, please stop, and giving them the only option of like deleting their accounts, instead, I want to give them some advice for how they can actually make the most out of the attention that they're getting and the platforms that they've built if they do claim to be wanting to actually help our national parks and help protect public lands. There's some really low hanging fruit that they can all do that can make a really big impact. So that's what we're going to tackle in today's video. There's a lot to unpack, so let's just get into it. I guess before I really dive into things, I should tell you who I am, because if you haven't met me yet, you haven't come across any of my videos, my name is Madeline and I am an outdoor advocate and influencer, mainly talking about accessibility and inclusion in outdoor spaces. I have a podcast called Outdoorsy, which helps platform and uplift marginalized voices, making sure that everybody knows that the outdoors belongs to everyone and everyone is welcome in the outdoors. It's been a historically very exclusionary community. And so I'm trying to change that and making sure that everybody can reclaim that term for themselves. So I have a podcast, I have a TikTok account and an Instagram account that really just share educational resources for people wanting to get into the outdoors and maybe haven't in the past, or they've been scared to for whatever reason. Maybe it's they exist in a marginalized body, like they have some sort of disability, or they are a queer person, or they are a person of color, all sorts of reasons why people don't feel comfortable going out into the outdoors, right? So I basically am trying to eliminate some of those barriers and help people feel more included and like things are more accessible and possible for everybody in a very safe way. So that's kind of what I do. And then also, I have a background in marketing. My full-time job is in digital marketing. My degree is in public relations specifically. So I really understand the nuances of brand perception. And that is going to be talked about a lot when I'm talking about what's going on with these fake national park TikTok accounts. So I've got a lot of experience. I've done the work too. I've done the advocacy work. Like I organized the protest at Mount Rainier National Park this year. So I know a lot. I don't know everything, certainly. There are a lot of outdoor educators out there that know so much more than I do, but I just want to give you a sense of like what my background is so you can trust that what I'm saying right now comes from experience and comes from a knowledge of how education and communication around outdoor education in our national parks and our public lands and kind of what's going on politically in this environment right now is happening. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. So let's talk about why I feel like these TikTok accounts are actually not doing anything to help our national parks, because that's the pushback that I'm seeing right now. Is whenever I've talked about this online, people will come back at me and say, well, they're raising awareness, they're helping push this awareness around what's going on with our public lands and the threats facing our national parks. And I don't think that's true. I think that is just a lie that a lot of people are telling themselves in order to justify their indulgence in these accounts. Because if you actually go onto a lot of these different TikTok accounts, these parody TikTok accounts, you will not see a single link to a single resource. The easiest thing that these accounts can do is to put a link in their bio linking to additional resources or calls to action for people to help continue to advocate for our public lands. That's like the number one thing they can do. The only one I've seen do that is the Yellowstone National Park, the fake account. The only account that I've seen do that. I will put screenshots up here on the screen. I haven't seen any other accounts posting any links to any resources. Additionally, I've spent a lot of time doing my due diligence scrolling through these accounts to see, okay, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe they are posting a ton of videos about this and I'm just missing it. Maybe they are posting educational content. Unfortunately, they're not. Even the Yellowstone one, like I would say that they are probably the best at sharing additional educational like content in their videos. But like they had one video in the last month talking about what's going on in the public lands. And a lot has been going on. So that's not enough, in my opinion. For every like 5 to 10 silly TikToks, they should be also posting one educational TikTok, in my opinion. So they're not really doing what you think they're doing. They're not helping educate people about what's going on, and they're certainly not advocating for people to help take action to prevent what's going on. They're just posting silly, goofy, fun stuff. Some of them are even posting AI crap. Like the Mount Shasta one posted nonstop AI slop, just gross AI art. It's just, if you really are claiming to like care about the environment and what's going on, don't be using AI generated art. Come on. Um, so that's like a big reason why I have problem with these is they're not doing like the bare minimum, which is a link in the bio and then sharing some educational resources. Yellowstone is like the only one doing that. The next issue we're running into with these accounts is that the majority of them are posting like very sexually explicit jokes, which I understand. We're all adults here. We all love a silly, goofy, sexually explicit joke, right? But that is all they're posting. And it's like very sexually explicit. I have to tell you that media literacy is at an all-time low. All-time low. The people that are going to be offended by sexual related jokes, sexually explicit jokes, are also the people who have deep, deep, deep issues with sexual identity and sexual orientation and sexual expression. Those are the people that think that our national parks are also a waste of resources. The Venn diagram is a circle. So those people are the ones that we're trying to win over and convince that national parks are valuable and deserve to be protected. But when they only are seeing what they think is official national park accounts posting this like very sexually explicit content, they're going to be turned off immediately because it's going to further support their narrative that our government is wasting resources on this like super sexual, gross content in their brains, right? So if you are going to be posting a lot of silly, goofy, meme content, maybe if we can skew away from the like overtly sexualized stuff, that would help invite people in. If you want to see a good example of how to do this tastefully and tactfully, look at the actual official national park Instagram and Facebook accounts. They do it really well. They have a lot of silly stuff. They utilize memes really well. Like, go look to them for inspiration. This kind of like cheap humor and relying on sex jokes is not it. It really is polarizing to people that we do need to buy into the value of our national parks. My biggest issue with this whole thing is that we are experiencing a media literacy epidemic. More people than ever are lazy, so they're not doing their research, they're just taking what they see at face value, and they are also uneducated. So they come across a TikTok from an account called Blank National Park they are going to think that that is the official account. They're not going to put two and two together. They're not going to like think through the critical thought process of like, whoa, this is a really sexually explicit video. This is crazy and unhinged. This obviously isn't an official account. This is obviously like a parody or fake account. They're just not. People are going to take it at face value and think that that is an official national park posting that. It's just unfortunately the world that we live in today. So people are thinking that these are the official national park pages, which further reinforces this false narrative that our national parks are wasting resources, that they deserve to have their funding and the personnel cut, right? Because they're seeing all of these like hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of silly, goofy TikToks that aren't really doing anything to like educate the public about the parks themselves. It's just like silly stuff, and thinking, whoa, this seems like not great. Why are we funding our parks to have this kind of marketing strategy? Like, that's the thought process that people are going through and that they're thinking when they see these accounts. It's further reinforcing this idea that our national parks are wasting valuable resources. They already are under resourced, understaffed, and facing more cuts to personnel and budget right in this very moment. This is the opposite thing we want people thinking, right? We need people realizing, wow, our parks need more resources right now. Wow, our parks need more people advocating for more dollars and more personnel, not the opposite. And basically, what's happening right now with these accounts is more and more people are viewing this as a waste of resources and using this as an example of how our national parks are mishandling their budget and their personnel. Again, a lot of us know it's fake, but a lot of people do not understand that. Let's not continue to further this narrative and give them any more fuel to their fire to cut more from our national parks and our public lands. Finally, I think that these accounts are damaging because they are detracting eyeballs away from people and accounts that are actually sharing beneficial, useful, educational content about the parks and about outdoor recreation as a whole. So because people think that the national parks have TikTok accounts now, which again, they don't, but people think that they do, they're then not following them on Instagram or on Facebook where they actually do have official accounts. They're also detracting away from people who are actually boots on the ground doing the work and educating about the parks, about how to go visit them, sharing about what's going on with our public lands, that kind of thing. They're just taking eyeballs away from that content. Unfortunately, attention and the algorithm is a limited resource. It's not just infinite. So when something is getting a bunch of attention over here, it's taking away from attention over here. So in conclusion, those are all of my big gripes about what's going on right now with the national park fake accounts on TikTok. Now, I want to switch gears and talk directly to the people that are behind the accounts. And I really hope that they do watch this video and listen and learn. Because again, a lot of the pushback that I've gotten online from people when I've talked about this is, hey, the people behind these accounts are actually trying to help. If that is true, there's so much low hanging fruit that y'all can do that you're not doing. And I just don't understand why. Again, the very first thing that you can do, change your bio. Change your bio and your username to include the words unofficial, parody, joke, or fake. You need to have that so clearly outlined on your bio and or your username, because otherwise people think that you are affiliated with the national park. You need to do that. People, again, media literacy is at an all-time low. People see the name, they don't think twice about it, they think that you're official. You have to make it so abundantly clear that you are a fake parody account that nobody has any question in their mind. Please, I am begging you, you have to spell it out for people. Change your bio right now. Takes 2 seconds. The next thing I would say is add a link in your bio to resources. This is also another very easy, very low-hanging fruit option for you. I am seeing the majority of these pages have over 10,000 followers. I actually think you only maybe need 1,000 followers to add a link in your bio. They're all at this point where they have the capability to add a link in their bio. Add a link in your bio that goes to either a link tree that has a bunch of resources and a bunch of calls to action, either to take direct action or to learn more about what's going on, the threats that face our national parks right now, or create, your own. You can create your own resource of some sort. Add that there. Link to an external page if you don't have the time or resources to develop your own. Find somewhere else that has a great list of resources and link to that. Like I have a blog post that lists out a ton of ways in which you can help support our national parks. Feel free to link to that. I don't really care, but you need to add a link so people take action and people learn more. I don't understand why you guys haven't done this already. It's kind of mind-boggling to me because it's such low effort. Oh my God, I have to interrupt this video because I am in the middle of editing it. I went to go check the Yellowstone TikTok page to verify that they had links to resources because I'm giving them credit in this video for being one of the only accounts that is posting resources. Just found out they blocked me. So that just speaks volumes to how much the people behind these accounts do not care about helping advocate for our public lands. Wow. I was giving them credit. These accounts also need to stop posting jokes about wildlife, about park rules, about current park conditions, because again, people lack the media literacy to understand that these are not the official accounts and they take stuff at face value. They see you talking about wildlife that's not normally in the park as a joke and they think that's real. They see you joking around about X entrance being closed because of for whatever reason. Like I saw one that was like, there's 1,000 Teslas at Mount Rainier National Park entrance. People are lacking the critical thinking skills to see that and know it's a joke. I know that sounds like really far-fetched, but I am dead serious. People think that that kind of stuff is real. And making jokes about serious stuff like park conditions, park rules, wildlife, etc. is damaging. So if you want to continue making little jokes and stuff, stop making them about those kinds of serious details. The next thing I would recommend is skewing away from all of this super sexually explicit content. As I mentioned before, we are in an epidemic of media literacy. The people that are not believing that the national parks are valuable are the same people who unfortunately believe that sexual identity is binary, who have super repressed feelings about sexual expression, that kind of thing. They're going to see this like very sexually charged content and immediately say, boom, that's exactly what I'm talking about. This is dangerous for our little children to be seeing. The National Park Service is further perpetuating this disgusting narrative and pushing sex on us and yada, yada, yada. Look, I know you're not doing that. I know the majority of us do, but a lot of people don't. And a lot of people really do believe that this is part of a larger agenda. So I would really encourage you to skew away from the super sexualized jokes. It's also cheap. Like sex jokes are cheap. It's not like the best, smartest sense of humor. Up your comedy game. I challenge you. You can do it. I believe in you. And also stop using AI. Stop using AI art. It's really gross. People hate it. If you claim to care about the environment and our public lands, why are you using AI? I don't understand. Stop that. The next thing I would recommend is increasing your ratio of educational and funny content. So right now it's like a 5,000 to 1 ratio. You're posting a billion silly videos and silly content, and then maybe once a month throwing up a video that's like, help protect our public lands without really any clear education or call to action. I think we can increase this ratio. I think like maybe once a week post a video about like, here's what's the latest with our threats to the national parks. Here's how you can take action today. Something super simple that follows a set formula of here's what's going on, here's how you can help. Super easy. Just throw it in with your regular content. People will see it and people will start taking action. If you really do claim to be wanting to raise awareness, you do have to do the legwork around it, right? People aren't going to unfollow you once you start talking about this. Just do one video for every couple of other silly videos. I promise it won't damage your visibility and your views. Finally, if you are monetizing this at all, if you are making any money off of this, I think the majority of y'all aren't, because I think the majority of your videos are under a minute long, but you are all at enough followers, most of you 10,000 or more, to be part of the creator rewards program, which means you can monetize your content. if you would like to start raising funds for the organizations that are actually doing the work, that are doing like much better, more impactful work, I would encourage you to do so. Just do something like do one of those videos where it's like, um, if 90% of you stay for 1 minute of this video of waterfalls, then we can help raise X amount of money for this particular nonprofit. People love that shit. It's so easy, low impact. You have a lot of followers already. Just ask them to stick around for a minute or longer, and then you'll make money, and then you can donate that money to causes that are actually doing the work. Super, super easy again, and doesn't require much effort on your part. So lots of things that you can do that don't require you completely deleting your account, completely changing your strategy, just little tweaks here and there that I think can make a really big impact. Please, please, I'm like begging you. You've got the platform, like good job. You've built up a following and an engaged audience. Now do something with it. If you claim to be doing something good, let's see it. I dare you. I challenge you. I hope that, a couple days from now, a week from now, the majority of you have seen this video and you've made some impactful changes. I want to be checking. I want to look. I want to see. Don't block me. I'll find a way to see your page regardless. But really, like it's so easy. It's so easy. Why aren't you doing it? I just don't understand. So let's work together. Hopefully this free marketing advice for you is helpful, is useful, and you go and make impactful changes, and I'll be cheering you on. I really hope to see it. So that's all I have to say right now. I am hopeful that things will change, and I appreciate everybody else who is really truly pushing for policy change, pushing for people to take actions. I'm going to link to that blog post that I was talking about actual things that you can do to help protect our public lands, help protect our national parks, in the comments here, in the description. And hopefully you can feel empowered to make a change in whatever way it makes sense to you. Take care. Let's all work together to make an impact here.